Here we are again for another episode of Two Crime Besties. Meg, how are you?
I've been better. I'm just said to you, I'm hoping my voice holds out today. I'm doing okay. I haven't had much voice since last time we recorded. Pretty much the next morning I woke up with like barely any voice.
Severe case of laryngitis.
Yeah, or drag queenitis, sometimes as we call it. Yeah, it was pretty deep, pretty low. So yeah, we're working through that. So I apologise now, and I'm hoping that I'll edit out any coughing fits I have.
Yay! Luckily, you're an editing aficionado now.
Ooh. Oh, sometimes it's not easy at times.
Yeah,
you talk too much.
Hard to find a break in the conversation. Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's
never,
not me. It's not
never.
me.
No. I've had a busy week. It was my eldest son's birthday this week, so
happy birthday, Oz.
Yeah, he had we had a family gathering on the weekend, and Peter made a brisket.
We've
spoken about him and his brisket on the potty before. And true to form, there was brisket grease from one end of the kitchen to the other by the end, but it was delicious. So it was well worth the cleanup.
Oh, good.
And yeah,
Oz loves a brisket.
He loves brisket.
Yeah.
And because you can't really buy a small brisket.
No, there's no.
So we had leftovers for days. So by the end of it, I was like, I just do not want to eat any more brisket for a bit now. So that was fun. And the rest of it, I just feel like the chaos of this week has really gotten to me. Like adding in that extra thing of a birthday, which is fun and exciting and all those things, it's also exhausting.
It's
and
the mental exhaustion. Like, have I got everything in place? You want to make it feel special for them, but there's elements of, things you want to do.
Extra things, but that's okay. It's all fun. It's all good fun.
It is.
We've had that, and then we're off the back of the King's birthday long weekend, so we're obviously recording a couple of weeks in advance to this coming out. But my God, it was nice to have our kids ended up having 4 days off in a row because they had an extra day off school, which was just lovely.
Do you know what? My kids needed it. I needed it because I was sick. So I mean, it was 4 days and the weather was terrible, horrible. Which I was like, thank you, because then I don't feel guilty for not taking them out somewhere.
Yeah.
But they were more than happy. I thought, they're going to climb the walls, but they didn't. They were actually embraced. They've got this Switch game they play of like NBA stuff.
Oh, cool.
And they spent most of the weekend, which bad parenting maybe, I don't know, but I was sick.
No, if you're sick, hello.
They were on the Switch most of the weekend creating their own team and stuff, and the banter between the two of them, and they got along the entire time. I think I might have broken up one argument for over 4 days.
Oh,
I'm like, this is winning.
That is a win.
Yeah, they were having a great
That
time.
is awesome.
Yeah, it was hilarious. They created like characters in their NBA game of like the dog has a player, the fucking axolotl has a player.
Fucking axolotl.
But they made the players look like they're pets.
That's incredible.
It was very cool. Very cool.
Do you want to tell the people what you're doing this weekend? The axolotl.
Oh, well, okay. So again, because I was sick, I didn't push Brody over the weekend to clean the axolotl tank. I was like, I mentioned it a number of times, like by the end of the weekend, that needs to get done, and because I wasn't like, right, I'm here. Because he does it, but I support, and make sure the water doesn't go everywhere. It does require, some
adult
intervention.
Adult supervision.
Absolutely, that's minimum. So I am there and directing around when I normally do it. So because I wasn't really up for that, I wasn't kind of going, let's do this now, let's get out. So by the end of the weekend, I was like, look, partially my fault. I'll take one for the team. Next weekend, I will clean the tank while you're at your dad's, and because it needs to I can't last another week after that. Needs to get done. So I said, I'll do it. Oh my God. But it wasn't until later after me saying that it's dawned on me that to clean that tank, the axolotl has to exit that tank and go into another bucket. And I have to get him out and get him back in. Oh. And see, Brody, when he does that, he picks him up and cuddles him and kisses him. Like he clearly has this little moment of because they can live out of water, not for a
long time. Yeah.
But he loves doing it. He loves taking him out and having his little cuddle time with him. And then putting him in the bucket while we clean the tank, and then he has another final little kiss and cuddle, and he puts him back in. I'm like, that ain't happening.
Oh no.
I don't even know how I'm going to get him in and out.
Kyle, you are not going to be getting kisses and cuddles this weekend.
I think Kyle will be happy about that.
I would imagine so, actually. Kyle's going to find this tank change a lot less stressful than normal.
Well, will he though? Because I just don't know how I'm going to manage to get him out and in without touching him. And I don't want to touch him.
Yeah, a scoop or a bucket or something.
I know.
But seriously.
Mason suggested using I use a jug to get the water out. It's like, just scoop him up in the jug. And I'm like, oh, good plan.
But you're still going to have to put your hand into the...
No, I'm not, am I?
No, like into the tank, will you? Or
I'll have to put my hand into to get that. I'll do it before a shower, at least.
Oh, yeah. Then go in and scrub yourself down.
It's just, I can't believe what I've committed to here.
I can't believe it either.
It just never dawned on me the actual process of what I was like. Because that step, Brody, that's the one step, no matter what Brody does.
Yeah.
So it just didn't enter my head of like, all the other bits of it, I'm okay with. I mean, I've cleaned fish tanks and everything else over the years, no dramas. But yeah. Oh God, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have got a bloody axolotl for him. It's my own fault.
Yeah, you've only got yourself to blame for this one.
Oh God.
Brody will be happy when he comes home and he doesn't have to do that
clean
chore.
Tank and no, mate.
So what happens if you don't clean the tank? Does it just go all yuck? The water goes yuck?
Yeah, it's a bit cloudy and stuff at the moment. It's not looking great. I mean, he looks happy enough, but it's dirty. And because you need to, because I use a vacuum thing, clean up all the stones and because all the excess food bits and the poop, I guess, all gets down there. Pebbles and it's not pleasant.
Nah.
Get a dog. Get a fucking dog.
But then you've got to clean up dog poo.
Do you know what? That's a poop and scoop thing.
Yeah,
that
that's
situation.
True.
The axolotl situation is
serious. It's serious business. And at least with a dog, like we've trained Luna to just poo down one side of the house.
This is it.
So at least it's in one spot. It's easy.
Yeah, that's grizz.
Yeah, unless it's raining, in which case she's like, if you think I'm going to walk around the side of the house to do my poo,
forget that.
You are sadly mistaken, my friend.
It's the one thing with Grizz that I love, that like you go out with him for a walk and he will not shit.
Oh my God, Luna shits like 3 times on every walk.
Nope. And thank God, because I'm sorry, but he's more than a handful.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not scooping that up with a hand and like in a bag. Like that's not.
Oh my God. So. Oh, that's great.
I didn't even actually purposely train him that way. It just.
How would you?
He's a bit like Ollie. He doesn't like to shit outside.
The house. Needs his comfort zone in order to feel comfortable enough to relax those muscles. Oh, love that for you, actually.
Yeah.
Love that for you.
So good. Yeah. Because that would just.
I have to take, when I take Luna for a walk, minimum 3 bags.
Yeah.
Normally I take 4 just in case, but she will at least do 2, usually 3.
Yeah. Oh, God, that's awful.
It is. It's freaking awful.
I mean, it's not in your backyard then, but you can pick them up.
Yeah. Well, at least in your backyard, you can pick them up whenever you want.
Yeah, this is it.
We've spent a lot of time in this podcast talking about poo.
Oh. Something else that's been talking a lot about poo lately is the mushroom trial, which is going on at the moment, which probably by the time people actually listen to this, probably be over and they'll have a verdict, which fill us in.
Yeah. We're on it. Are you listening to the daily podcast
the
about
ABC
it?
one?
It's really good.
I've been following. I did miss it for a few days there and I've caught back up again now.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I'm here for it.
Oh, same. Oh my God. It's so interesting. We were just saying about how if she hadn't have actually killed people, or if people hadn't have actually died, it would be a really interesting case to talk, like the kids who are interested in it would be fascinated by it. But I mean, it's still, adult content, I guess, by the fact that,
death and all.
Death, potential murder, although I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure. I'm curious to see what the verdict ends up being.
Intrigued because from an outsider listening, and I think the ABC have done a very good job of just putting their facts of what has come across in the case. That I think I feel like the jury's going to go a particular way, but
same.
I'm intrigued to see what they come up with because it is a very interesting one that they're trying to basically just prove intent.
Yes,
that's all that this element is. She admits there was death cap mushrooms in that dish. But did she seek them out? Did she put them in there intentionally to kill these people? So I guess it's a very hard thing to
hard to prove intent.
And have they proved that enough? And I'm like, and I feel they have.
Agreed.
But
For
whether a
so
jury or
many
not takes that for whatever
reasons.
reason. Yeah.
At the minute, what we're listening to is the bit around how, she felt about herself and the surgery she was going to be having that wasn't quite the ovarian cancer sort of surgery that she said it was going to be. That's kind of where we're up to at the minute.
So yesterday she finished on the stand.
Oh, see, I haven't listened to yesterday's yet.
Oh, well.
Okay.
She just lies about everything.
She does.
And that
She
to me
does.
is there's your intent.
100%.
You wouldn't be lying. You wouldn't have gotten rid of that dehydrator.
Exactly.
Because she said originally she got rid of the dehydrator because her ex-husband said to her, "Is that what you used to poison my parents with?"
Yeah.
And he says he didn't say that.
Yeah.
Now to me, regardless of whether he said that or not,
why is that in your head?
So he's saying she's lying that he said that.
Yeah.
But to me, you got rid of the dehydrator
Regardless.
at that date after the fact for some reason.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're trying to hide evidence.
Yeah.
The phone.
For somebody who's
Bloody hell.
supposedly so intelligent, she's really done some dumb
where that
shit.
narcissism comes in, that she thinks she's more intelligent than everyone else.
For sure.
Actually, in fact,
she's actually not. Yeah. It's a really interesting case.
God.
Loving it. So
Yes.
for those of you who haven't caught up, Mushroom Daily, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Really good. Really, really worth it. You can easily catch up to because they're only like 20-minute episodes.
Yeah,
they're
it's
pretty
a nice
easy
easy one.
listen.
Stick it on 1.5.
Yep. Get through it real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Oh, the other thing I was going to say to you too, I've watched Sirens. Have
Tell
you
me what
finished
you
it?
think. Yes, I finished it. Yep.
Yep.
What did you think? It got a bit weird in the end.
It did. And I'm still, actually, I don't feel like I've got an answer.
No, there's no answer. Although, there is no answer really. Although I think they lead you down a certain path, right? But then you can interpret that in whichever way you want.
Oh, I went, because, I got to the end and just went, who's the siren?
Yeah.
Which one? Is it him?
Yeah.
Is it her?
I think it's him.
Yeah.
So, should we not give it away?
No.
I don't know what maybe we shouldn't say much more, but watch it and then let us know what you think.
Watch it. Really good watch, but it just annoyed me at the end of like going, hey, wait.
Hold on, what?
Am I meant to make a decision?
I think you're meant to make a decision.
I can't make decisions.
I'm here for entertainment, people.
Give it all to me.
Yeah.
Spell it out.
Yes. The other exciting thing that's happened TV-wise is Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta?
Not Atlanta.
OC?
No. With Larsa. I've just had it.
Larsa. I think you're on one that I don't watch.
Oh, my God.
Is that Atlanta?
No, it's not Atlanta. It's
Miami.
Miami, thank you. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, I don't watch Miami or Atlanta. I'm not up to them.
I haven't watched.
Do I need to?
You have to watch Miami. Oh, my God.
From the get-go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least start a season or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So good. so good.
Okay. Is it Salt Lake City good?
No.
Okay. Because you know what I have watched? Because they've released the first few episodes of now.
What?
Next Gen.
Seriously?
So in it is Gia, as in like New Jersey, what's her face's daughter. There's Kim Solziak's daughter in it.
Oh, my God.
Brooks is in it from Salt Lake City. And then so they're all the housewivesy ones.
Yep.
But then there's other characters in there too from other – the other one from Housewives is Riley. So Kim Solziak and what's her face, the singer, Candy? Oh, God. That's going to annoy me.
Okay.
But another one from that anyway, from that they used to
I'm
argue
going to
all the
have to
time.
get into this.
So it's a whole new world.
Oh, I can't wait.
I just don't know. I don't know how I'm going to go with it.
Okay.
Because they're different
younger
creatures.
That's it. And they're so much younger than us. I think the thing about the Real Housewives is like, even though they're filthy rich and their lives do not resemble ours, they're sort of
maybe
least in
yours.
they're at least like our age, and
Yes.
like we get it. I kind of get where they're at in their life.
Yeah, there's a level of, I guess, maybe hormones we understand.
Yeah, maybe.
But the money we maybe not. But, so you definitely relate to a lot of the topics they talk about.
That's it.
But no, the young ones, like I'm
going to give it a go.
I'm going to
give it a go.
Yeah.
You never know.
There's only been a couple of episodes released so far.
But then I can't get into those like, the the ones where they're all like Love Island and all those. I'm just not into that stuff at all.
No, I think there's, what is it? Someone recently said to me to watch 90 Day Fiancé or something. And I'm like,
I used to love 90
Well, I think I watched
Fiancé.
like 30 minutes of one episode and went, I can't.
Oh, I used to love, like, I'm talking probably 10 years ago. I used to love that show.
Yeah, no.
I haven't watched that in forever.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get into it at all.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I literally, I didn't realise I checked out.
We're highbrow. We're totally highbrow.
Oh, well.
That's why.
Yes.
Just ask us.
Housewives only.
That's it. Shall we get into today's case?
Oh, I think we are there.
We're there. Actually, quickly first, I've got some shout outs.
Oh, yes, let's do that. Yeah.
So we've had, again, we say this every week, loving the engagement, peeps. Keep it coming. We just love it. Love reading what you've got to say. I love it when people comment on the content and like actually engage on that level as well. And we've had quite a lot of that lately. Anyway, shout outs today are to Cozzy, Stacey Petrie, Lisa B, Michelle B, Jodes 1151. So thank you, everybody. As we say, we try and get back to everyone. If we don't, please don't think we haven't read it, because we have. It's just that we might be doing other things at the time and we don't quite have the time to respond.
I do the terrible thing of like, I read it and go, and
I'll respond to
I responded in my brain.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm caught with something with like the kids interrupt or whatever, and I walk away and go, oh my God, did I reply that or not?
I do that in real life all the time. Like, as in like to text messages and stuff. It's not personal.
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, so yeah, please know that it was acknowledged.
Absolutely. We acknowledge them all.
Yeah, we will get, and I often will go back like later and go, oh my God, I didn't write what I thought I wrote.
Yeah. Or I didn't actually respond.
Yeah.
So today we are covering the case of Susan Cox Powell.
Yeah, this might not be one that everyone's as au fait with, I guess, maybe some of the other ones we've done more recently, especially like the Australian true crime ones.
Yeah.
It's it's a biggie. We probably need to do a few disclaimers and trigger warnings before we start, because we will discuss suicide, we will discuss pornography and child-related aspects of that. What else? God, a bit of everything.
Domestic abuse.
Yes.
And
in all its forms.
That's right. It's actually a really horrible case.
Yeah.
And one that if you're not ready to listen to it this week, maybe give it a miss, because it's pretty heavy.
It's a heavy one. It is definitely a heavy one, and it's there's a lot in this, but it's fascinating.
It is.
But yeah, if you're not in the space,
quite a different vibe to the Martha Stewart case.
Oh yeah, we've literally gone from one extreme literally to the other opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
This involves all those aspects of cases that we go, that's hard. Every bit of like what you think might be bad is in this one. Yeah.
So Susan Marie Cox was born on the 16th of October in 1981, and look, she grew up in a fairly stereotypical family. She grew up in Washington, and she had a really loving mum and dad who just adored her.
They were a lovely
they were very
family.
Stereotypical family. People have said that they were very warm and welcoming, and they had a very strong faith base to their family. So they were Mormons, so belonged to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they really upheld a lot of those Mormon traditions and Mormon beliefs in terms of the way they were raising their family.
But not to the point of that extremist style that you might hear about too.
No polygamy or anything like that in this family anyway. And they were just a really good, loving, caring family.
I think she was one of 4
girls.
I can't remember what number she was in that, but they all seemed very close.
3rd.
Yeah.
So she met a man by the name of Joshua Powell. He was born on the 20th of January in 1976. So he was about 5 years
a bit of an age gap, but
older than her, but nothing significant. No. He was born to his mum and dad, Stephen and Terica Powell, in Puyallup, Washington. He had 2 brothers, Michael and John, and 2 sisters, Jennifer and Alina. The reason we're sort of naming them more so is because they actually become quite significant, or several of these characters become quite significant in the story as we go along.
Yeah.
I think they belonged to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as well. They had a very dysfunctional home life.
Very different to Susan's.
Very different to Susan's. So where Susan's family was close, Josh's family weren't. It was a very tumultuous
Well, they were
and
weirdly
volatile.
close in a different kind of way, I guess, weren't they? In that, so Stephen and his wife separated, but not until the children were teenagers.
Yeah.
So quite later into their marriage. But yeah, there was some interesting dynamics of their relationships. Should we put it that way?
Yeah, we will get to more detail of
Yeah.
that as we go along.
Yeah.
In the 90s, Joshua was living in Tacoma. He was a student at the University of Washington, and at this time he actually became involved with a woman by the name of Catherine Terry Everett. They met at an LDS congregation, and he was infatuated by her. And the only reason I'm bringing her up is because it kind of speaks to his character and the way that he engaged with women. Joshua had a lot of audio journals, and these, after all of the events that we're going to speak about transpired, these audio journals were actually made available and made public. And oh my God, the things that he talks about are deeply, deeply disturbing. But I wanted to bring this up now because I think it really shows that it wasn't because of Susan, even though, you know, we'll come to why he says everything's Susan's fault. He was like this before he engaged in before he even knew Susan, before he'd even met Susan.
Yeah.
He had a lot of romantic interests as a young man, many of which were not reciprocated, and this angered him. He did not like that. He wanted relationships. He was met with rejection left, right and centre. He really unnerved the women that he pursued. So he would be incredibly intense and he would just scare them off. He was just weird and creepy. And when you listen to his audio recordings, you can totally understand why. He talks about, he basically stalked these women and couldn't believe that they then didn't want to go out on a date with him.
Yes.
Now, it's probably worth noting that in the LDS faith, there is no sex before marriage. There's no touching, kissing, anything like that. If you're sort of really adhering, there's sort of a purity culture within the LDS church. And Josh had ambitions beyond that, I think. And so for the fact that he was pursuing LDS girls who were raised in that purity culture.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the fact that he was so vehemently like pursuing them in a way that they didn't want to be pursued. Oh, he's just gross.
Yeah, so Catherine and him became quite serious as well.
Were they engaged?
No, they weren't engaged, but they were moving towards quite serious. But he became quite controlling, and she ended up going to visit a friend of hers out of state at one stage. Oh, yes. And so at that point, I think what's kind of gone on there is this girlfriend, obviously, that she's gone to visit, has gone, get out while you can. She ended up breaking up with him over the phone at that point, just didn't return. So, yeah, it was pretty, yeah.
I think she
got out. She
did the right thing.
Yeah, dodged a bullet for sure.
Absolutely dodged a bullet.
Yeah. So Susan and Josh meet at an LDS meetup, like for singles. And look, Susan grew up, and her sort of goal in life, really her absolute ultimate goal, she wanted to be a wife and a mother. They were her absolute be all and end all things. They meant a lot to her. So she met Josh and they dated very quickly, and within 2 months they were engaged. Already, though, there were red flags for her family. They were not too keen on Josh. They did sort of give her a few bits of advice here and there, saying, like, she was only 19, he was 23 at this point. They were saying, look, Josh is just a bit odd. Josh is a bit strange. And one of her sisters actually said to her, look, he's harmless, but he's, there's something not quite right. I believe her mum even said to her, when I look at Josh, I see darkness, which
I see darkness in his eyes or something. Like
Yeah.
her mum could just see it.
see something. There was, and none of them could put their finger on what it was about him, and no one was like, you know,
Because at the start, he was like love bombing her
Yeah.
essentially. Like
Yes.
well,
you
he was a bit of a no-hoper actually at
Well-
this point. So he'd gotten himself into a lot of debt. To me, if we knew nothing else and all we knew at this point was what had happened to this point, he was
Yes.
a bit of a no-hoper. He'd gotten himself into debt.
Yep.
He didn't work. So, but he loved computers and always wanted the latest of all the computer games and
Yeah.
accessories and consoles and all of that sort of stuff, and never saved up money for them. Like he put them on credit. And so when he met Susan, and Susan was, even at 19, was very fiscally responsible. Like
Yeah.
she had kind of started to set herself up.
Yeah.
As you said, knowing that eventually she wanted to start a family. And look, in the LDS church, it's not uncommon to have children quite young.
Yes.
So for her, she was probably thinking, in the next few years, this is where I'm sort of want to be heading.
That's where people were like, "What?" It was huge that her parents and her sisters were saying to her, "Go date as many people as you want. Just go do dating. Like maybe not this one." So because in the LDS church, typically it would be you're 19 and you've met a guy that seems that, you know, if he's nice
Half
enough, it'd be like,
decent,
you know,
yeah.
like yes, you get married and you have children. That would be a fairly standard thing. But they were really kind of sort of forcing this issue a little bit of like, let's see what else is out there, and directing her away, which she didn't because she was nope. This is the guy. This
she
is
was
the one.
smitten.
And-
She really
yeah.
was smitten. And
Yeah.
he did. I mean, she kind of became his world. Because
And there's a video clip of their wedding, which happened pretty quickly after all this.
They got married. So they met in November 2000 and they were married in April 2021.
Yeah.
Like 7 months.
2001. Yeah.
Sorry, 2001.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
6 months after they met, they married. Like
it was very quick. But there's a video of their wedding, of them doing their dance, like kind of thing, right? Now, I don't know, and I don't know whether it's hindsight when I look at it, the way he looks at her, it's creepy.
I thought that too.
It's almost like and I don't know whether it's him like putting on a show of like, I'm so in love with you, like creepily, like trying to like look at her in this sexual, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying about when I was talking about him as like this younger man pursuing women. It was creepy.
Yeah.
And it was like sexually motivated, I think.
But then he didn't like people touching him.
No.
So I think it was all about, like, well, we'll get into it, but maybe watching things like that and what the perception of those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I know exactly I know the video you're talking about because I thought the same thing. It really gave me the heebie-jeebies.
It really gives you the ick. Oh,
yuck,
like,
yuck.
And look,
And Susan was 19 and you could tell she was in love. She's a beautiful girl, like stunning woman.
Yeah.
But she was only 19 and she didn't know what she didn't know. She had no experience really. She hadn't had any significant relationships before, Josh. She was a good LDS girl.
Yeah.
You know, doing all the right things.
Exactly.
And she was at cosmetology school.
Yes.
Which she finished, I think around the time they got married.
Yeah, she was only fairly finishing up sort of stuff at that point. Yeah,
and by all accounts, she was very, very good at that. But she ended up taking a job with Wells Fargo Investments after she finished cosmetology.
So that was when they moved, because after they first got married, they moved because Josh he was working jobs here and there, but he'd lose his job. He was in and out of work and things. He wasn't able to commit to jobs. It wasn't whether he might get sacked, but also he might quit. Like, it was very tumultuous in that respect. He would spend a lot of money.
No work ethic.
He
just wanted everything to be handed to him. I think.
But he he filed for bankruptcy with a debt of $200,000. So this wasn't a small amount of debt. Like, really, that's a fairly huge amount of debt.
I'm pretty sure. Did they own their house when he filed for bankruptcy? I think he did, because I think the bankruptcy didn't actually include their mortgage. They were able to keep that separate because they put the house in Susan's name.
I think that happened before they moved in with Steve. And
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. The financial stuff sort of got me a little bit trying to track that exactly of when that happened. I couldn't find dates on things.
Oh, I've got it written down.
Oh, yeah, you've got it?
They filed for bankruptcy in 2007. So...
Okay, so that was after kids even.
Yeah, after they'd had kids.
Okay, so therefore, so it must have not included the mortgage and that. So, so, but they still didn't have a lot of money, and they moved in with Josh's dad, which also included at least one of his brothers. And I think the other brother was in and out a little bit at that point, and also his younger sister, Alina. So there was there was Michael. He would have been potentially in and out with he was in the military.
Yes.
And John was his other brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Had quite a few issues in terms of mental health and other things going on for him. So he also was not always at home, I guess, under that roof. Alina was a consistent. She was always under that roof, and Steve. So they moved in with them to save some money.
Jennifer, by this stage, his other sister. We will get to her. But
absolutely.
She was already married and living with her husband outside of the home.
Yeah. So they living under his roof for a while, but then it was up to, I think it was 2004, they moved out of that home, and we'll get to why later, and moved to West Valley, Utah. And so they bought a house they didn't own that house, so that's obviously they saved up enough money, managed to buy this place, and in 2005 then had their first child, Charlie,
named after Susan's dad,
Chuck. So he was born on January 19th in 2005, followed on with a second boy, Braden, born on January 2nd of 2007. So already though in this marriage there was cracks, there was, Josh was very controlling. So as much as she was the one working at Wells Fargo, she was earning the money of the house. Josh was at home on his computer, spending a hell of a lot of money with equipment and things. But he'd
buy really weird shit.
Yeah.
He would control all of their money.
Yeah.
And would absolutely berate Susan for spending money on, there was a diary entry of Susan. So she kept journals.
Yes.
She also kept audio diaries, and so did Josh. I've never known people to keep audio diaries.
She wasn't as heavy on audio diaries.
He was prolific.
He was, but she wasn't. She only really kept, there was sort of certain ones. Videos. There was only a few of hers, but yeah.
In one of her written journals though, she talks about how Josh controlled their spending to the point where she had to write down basically every cent that she spent. And she bought eggs one day and they were 27 cents more expensive than the other shop, and he'd expected her to go to the other shop. I'm like, would it cost more than 27 cents to
get to the other shop? Well, or would it, because he purposely sold, he sold her car just behind her back kind of thing, didn't really tell her. So which meant that they only had one family car, it was his car, and which he didn't work, he was at home. She wasn't allowed to use that car to go to work. She had to ride her bike 7 miles to work every morning and back again every evening.
Now, I know sometimes people joke about, I had to walk to school 7 miles in the snow. You kids don't know how good you've got. She was right in the snow. They lived in Utah.
Yeah.
They lived in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
And she had to ride her bike some days in inches of snow to get to work. And the only way to get there was on this highway that had a very narrow shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. He was very controlling. So he would control how much money she was allowed to have. She would have a certain amount of money. I think it was maybe $100 for I don't know how long, maybe a couple of weeks even, to feed herself and the boys and clothe them.
Yep.
And he didn't want them having certain coats when they lived in that kind of weather we were just talking about. It was too much to buy the $20 coats from Target or wherever they were living nearby.
Walmart, I think it was, yep.
He was very tight with her having any money, but he spent money like there was no tomorrow.
And he'd buy random shit that they didn't even need.
No.
He was, as you said, he loved the sound of his own voice, obviously. So he'd buy camcorders and he also won a camcorder at a Christmas party. Again, we will get to that. But he would spend money on the weirdest shit, like rug cleaners, and that was in the end for a purpose as well. But he would buy the most random shit and then just not use it.
No.
But yet she had to eat. Did you hear about her friend at work said that they'd gotten a good deal on cans of chili, like canned chili, meat, sort of soup, and they'd bought so much of it that every single day Susan would bring a can of chili to work because that's all she could afford to bring. Well, when I say all she could afford, all Josh would allow her to afford to bring to work.
Yeah.
And one day her friend opened up her drawer and Susan had swapped a can of chili for her friend had brought like a can of tuna and some crackers or something. And she said, gotcha, swapped it or something like that. And she's like, my can of tuna would have been worth less than the can of chili probably. But because she couldn't, she couldn't stand to eat another can of chili. She was like, I'd much rather have my friend's tuna and crackers. But he controlled everything. He didn't like it if she bought like the more expensive of anything.
No.
And they had to buy like the cheapest hot dogs and like, I'm talking not nourishing food really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the controlling behaviours got so bad within the household even that one of her friends said that she didn't want to go to the house anymore where Josh was and be under that same roof. Yeah. So she would organise their catch-ups. She didn't want to not see Susan. That was not what she was. She knew that Susan was in a situation where she needed her friends. So she would just make sure she organised all their catch-ups either at her house or they'd meet somewhere because it was just awful to be in that house. That's a vibe no one needs.
And the fact that he was always there, like you would feel probably uncomfortable, especially with that kind of, I don't know, that creepy vibe, as you said. It's not comfortable. And he even says in some of his audio journals, he even says, I don't like people coming over because then we have to feed them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so, that costs money.
Yeah, and this is money that not even he's earning. It's not even he's like going, I'm earning a small amount of money and I don't want to spend it on people. Susan's earning the money and you're saying don't spend any of that money on anybody. Like the controlling nature of him was awful.
Yeah.
So by July 2009, Susan she knew she wasn't in a good situation. She knew that things weren't going well and that she needed to make some changes here. But she also knew and did have an understanding that it wasn't a safe environment for her and the boys. So there had been actually one particular conversation where in this sort of where she was getting like to a point of like, I need to leave, where Josh had said to her, over my dead body, you'll leave me, and over my dead body that you'll take those boys away. And I can't remember if it was his sister or her sister that overheard that conversation, but it was witnessed by, so it was Jennifer.
It was Jennifer.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I wasn't sure which one, but yeah. So that 100% was said, which is just awful. And I do believe he meant that as strictly as it came out of his mouth. But so she did go and see a lawyer and get some advice, very much on the down low. She had to keep all these things very, very quiet from him. The lawyer suggested that she do some documenting of their assets and those sorts of things so that if Josh got wind of her leaving and he sold things on her or hid things, that she'd have a documentation of what was there so that things could be split more equally if that was to occur. So and you can actually see those videos if you want to go and check them out. It's kind of her personality comes across in that a little bit. You get a real vibe of who she was.
You also get a vibe that she was a broken woman in that because the way she talks about it. So I wrote down a couple of quotes.
Yeah.
She wrote, I want it to be documented that there is extreme turmoil in our marriage. And she also wrote, if I die, it may not be an accident, even if it looks like one.
So she wrote that actually in her will. That she put in. So all this went into those videos. She put a will into a safety deposit box that she actually got her friend to do for her. She got her friend to go and put those in there. And on the envelope of the will that she handwrote, it was on the envelope, it said on the front of it, for my family and friends except Josh, I do not trust him. Like it's and then
she knew. She had a vibe.
She knew that she was in danger. She really didn't. Like she's foreseeing something and not to the point of like anyone thinking that it's a bit extreme. No, she knew what she was actually up against. I really do. It's awful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing is the reason she couldn't do a lot of these things and go to do the safety deposit box or go anywhere beyond what she was allowed to do by Josh is because he would check mileage on the car.
Yeah.
So she literally could not go anywhere without him knowing that she'd gone somewhere.
Yeah. She even like hid notes and things in her desk at work.
Yeah.
So there was down the track we'll get to, like, when the police investigate things, they did find all these things along the way. Like, and so she left little snippets of information with friends and all those sorts of things that were able to be pieced together a little. So
she said to friends that if anything happens to me, make sure the police look at Josh. And her friends were like, well, we need you to get out. What are we doing? But
she was starting to get a plan in place.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
she was seeking advice. She was trying to get things in place, but what we know is, so on Saturday, the 5th of December in 2009, Josh and Susan went to Josh. So he had a job by this time, but it was, again, on and off, what he was actually doing. But they went to the Christmas party and they'd had, by all accounts, a fairly good night. He was very eager to get home early enough so that they didn't have to pay the babysitter too much. And anyway, while he was at this at this Christmas party, he actually won a camcorder.
Yep.
So they get home, they go to bed that night, relieve the babysitter, go to bed. It's all good. The next morning, so by this stage, I think it's also worth noting that Josh had really sort of defected from the LDS faith. Mm-hmm. He did not want to go to church. They had tried some counselling because their marriage was obviously very fractured. And he had agreed to attend church, I think, one Sunday a month. And Susan had agreed to not go to church one Sunday a month to try and, I don't know, repair things or see things from each other's perspective. But on this particular Sunday, on the 6th of December in 2009, it was just Susan, Charles and Braden who went to church. Their neighbour, the neighbour was actually who they met at church that day and then invited over.
Giovanna.
It was Giovanna. Her son was the one who'd been babysitting the boys the night before. And anyway, she came over and were they doing some craft activity or something like that? She came over for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, her testimony is that she left the house at about 5 p.m. that day.
And that Josh had been making pancakes for Susan and for the boys. And the thing with that, and Jennifer, his sister, attests to this, that is odd because he refused. And I don't mean just didn't do it. He refused to do any of the cooking. That was always a Susan thing to do.
And Giovanna also said that he was very attentive to Susan that day.
Put a blanket over her and gave her pancakes and said, here you go, and put a blanket. And she even commented to Giovanna like, oh, he's so lovely, doing that for me and that's so great. But she would then, not long after eating these pancakes, felt unwell and said, I'm going to go and lie down. I'm just not feeling very well. So she left the room, went upstairs to go and have a lay down. And Giovanna was still sort of there talking with Josh and that. But all of a sudden he was like, oh, I'm going to take the boys sledding. Like, put their coats on and was like very adamant he was leaving, and actually walked out the door before Giovanna even had left. Like, so she was still in the house. She sort of closed up the door behind her as she left. So which left Susan at home, laying down, not feeling 100%, and Josh and the boys off sledding in the afternoon. So quite cold and snowy in that sense. They were, yeah. So
there was a storm front rolling in.
Absolutely,
at the
very,
time,
very.
So it was actually snowing.
Yeah.
And it was very cold, and it was almost. It's been described as almost blizzard-like conditions were rolling in. It was known that there was this, big sort of snowstorm
a warning
coming.
of a snowstorm coming. Yes.
So, what happens next?
Yeah. Well. So from this point, we basically the next. So at this point, we wake up the next morning to. Susan should have gone to work. Josh should have gone to work. The boys should have gone to their childcarer, whose name was Debbie Caldwell. Now, Debbie Caldwell said that every single day that the boys were expected to be with her, they rocked up on time and there was, never any issues. So when they didn't arrive and there was no phone call to say, oh, we're all homesick, or whatever, all the blizzards, come in and we're snowed in or whatever reason for them to not be there was no communication. She was like, this is not right. Contacted, tried to call and those sorts of things, couldn't get hold of anyone. So she ended up calling Josh's mum, who was living at the time with his older sister, Jennifer. She spoke to Josh's mum and said, look, this is unusual. I can't get hold of Susan or Josh and they're not here. They haven't arrived for their normal drop-off for the morning. So Josh's mum is like, and Jennifer are both like, well, that is really odd. Let's go out to the house. They weren't too far away. They drove over. So by about midday, they got out to his house, the Josh and Susan's house.
Just really quickly, what Debbie actually did that morning. So she was a home daycare worker and she had 6 other kids that she was looking after, and she had a minivan. Yeah. So she used to drop a lot of the kids to school in the morning. So what she decided to do was, on her way to doing the school drop-off, she's like, I'm just going to drive past the Powell house and see if I can see anything untoward, because this was so unusual.
Yeah.
She drove there. She said it was virgin snow. There was no tyre tracks coming out of the garage. There were no footprints on the front yard. It was fresh virgin snow. She pulled her minivan up, went up to the front door and knocked on the front door, and there was no answer. But she could see the curtains flapping in the breeze. Flapping from the inside. And she's like, oh, so her immediate concern was actually that they were all lying in their dead from carbon monoxide poisoning because
with heaters on,
given the blizzard conditions. In fact, she could see the curtains kind of
indicated
moving.
maybe.
She was like, what the hell is actually going on here?
Yeah.
So she's then contacted
Josh's mum.
And then Josh's mum's like, all right, we need to call 911.
Yes.
And get somebody out there. But Josh's mum and sister actually arrived before the police did. I mean, it was fairly, they were in fairly close proximity.
Yeah.
When the uniformed officers arrived at the Powell house, so Jennifer and Terrika. Yeah, Terrika were already there.
Yeah.
And they decided, because there was absolutely due concern because again, they could see these curtains flapping, there was due concern to break into the house because there was no response. They couldn't get them on their phones. No one knew. They hadn't said that they were going away. They hadn't said anything was going on. So the police officers actually broke a window and gained access to the house.
With their permission. Yeah.
With the permission of Jennifer and Terrika. And when they walked inside, nothing was untoward. Now, the only... so when I say that, I mean, no, the heater wasn't on.
No.
There was nothing out of place, so it's not like there'd been a domestic violence incident there that was obvious. There were no broken dishes,
no one home.
No one home. There was nobody. There were no bodies on the ground.
Like,
there was nothing like that.
Yeah.
There was something a little bit unusual though, but it explains the flapping of the curtains. They found 2 big box fans pointed at their couch and an area of their living room that was carpeted, and it was very, very obvious that the couch had been
recently cleaned
and was still damp or wet.
Yeah. The other thing they found too was Susan Powell's bag, her handbag with her purse and things in it, in her room, untouched. So it was just placed where it would normally, I guess, look
have
to be
landed
placed
for the night.
Yeah.
Sort of thing, or at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it all was very like, well, hang on a second, where are they?
What's going on?
So at this point, the lead detective arrives on scene at this point, Alice Maxwell. So he's a lovely guy. Such a lovely guy. He immediately, something just didn't sit right for him with this whole situation. He was actually pissed that they'd entered the house because it was a potential crime scene. So he was kind of like, he kicked everyone out of the house at that point. So there was no more. But the other thing was like, you don't have a warrant to be in there either. So, anything they do find is, they can't use. So he kicked everyone out, and they kept trying to sort of work out. What he did do was he took photos of things around the house at that point. He did do that. But he didn't touch anything. So it exited, leave that alone. But at this point, also then around about 3:00, finally, Giovanna gets hold of Josh on the phone.
Through her son's phone.
Yeah,
so she
weirdly
tried
enough.
ringing from her phone. He didn't answer.
And which Alice Maxwell, he says, it's so weird. He goes, I was trying to get hold of him. I was ringing him constantly. No answer.
So was everyone.
Everyone's trying to ring this guy.
Terrika was.
Finally, he answers the phone randomly at 3 p.m. and he answers. Now, this is, he answers the phone and Giovanna just says to him, Josh, where are you? What's going on? Like, Susan's not here. She didn't show up for work today. And he's like, oh, I'm on my way home. Like,
no, he goes, no, she's at work.
Oh, she's at work. I'm on my way home. Well, she would have made it. She would have gone to work. Yeah. And so she goes, you've got to come home immediately. And he's like, oh, okay, well, or whatever. And he hangs up from her. So then Maxwell actually gets him on the phone then straight away after that and rings him again and goes, mate, this isn't okay. Susan's not at work. She hasn't turned up for work. You need to come home immediately. His response to that is, I need to feed the boys. But, okay, what the fuck?
And then in the recording of it, have you heard the recording of this? It's so interesting because then he literally completely ignores Maxwell.
Yeah.
And he's like, boys, do you want pizza or burgers or where do you want us to go?
Yeah.
And Maxwell's like, you have to come home immediately.
Yeah, there's
your
something
wife is
wrong.
missing.
Yeah.
We don't know where Susan is. Do you know where Susan is? She's at work. No. We've established that she's not at work.
Yeah. So he's been clearly told that.
But he doesn't even give an affirmative that he's coming home and he's like, Josh, you need to come home. And he's like, yeah.
No.
Was it like over an hour later, an hour and a half
Well,
later?
so what he does first, though, he hangs up for that phone call from Maxwell, turns around in his vehicle, and they can spot all this. He's driving north. However, stops the vehicle, turns around, drives for 20 minutes in the opposite direction, heads south for 20 minutes. Stops, calls Susan's phone, which is in the vehicle with him, and leaves a voicemail message. Hey, hope you're all good. Hope you got to work okay. Anyway, we're just on our way back, so I'll see you soon. What? Anyway, left that voicemail message and got back on the road again. So he then goes and heads to he did go and get the kids food and stuff. He did all those things.
Pizza.
Wasn't in any rush.
Just in case you're wondering.
Whatsoever.
Pizza. Yep.
No, so on his way through though, where does he go? He goes to her work. Goes to Susan's work, drives, parks out the front there, calls again to the phone that is sitting in the vehicle with him and leaves yet another voicemail message saying, hi, just letting you know I'm out the front, waiting for you. He's been told that she didn't go to work today by multiple people at this point. And her phone is in the vehicle with him. Sorry, I'm going to get really angry. What a freaking weirdo thing to do. So, yeah, he finally leaves there and goes to the police station at that point then, to which he has a brief interview with the police.
I thought he went home.
No, so he goes he goes to the police station, has a brief chat with them of like where things are at. And so we're getting quite late now by this stage. So he's like, so the police officer says to him, Maxwell says, right, we've had a bit of a chat, consensus that this is weird. And so he goes, sends him home to have a rest, have sleep, because take the boys, get them sleep, get your mum, like obviously take over the kids, come back in the morning for a full proper interview and we'll get more information.
That's right. He's like, come back at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. the next morning.
Yep.
We'll have but get some rest, some sleep. So it's actually getting quite late at this point.
Yeah.
So that was sort of the plan of attack at that point. But in none of this is he, well, where's my wife? Like, wouldn't you be out searching? Wouldn't you be like, ringing everyone you know, going, have you seen Susan? Like, there's none of that. And this is all, you can see these videos of these interviews and things with him. He is sitting there like, just like, whatever. Because he knows where she is.
I was reading somebody's commentary about his demeanour in these interviews.
Yeah.
And it actually is very striking the way he behaves. He behaves like somebody who there's no fucks to, like, there's no respect for the situation that he's in. So like he literally doesn't wait to be asked to sit down. He doesn't wait to, there's no formality in the way that he's behaving given the situation that he's in. He just like slouches in his chair. He's like, there's no respect for the situation that he's in, or the fact that
penetrated at all what's going on.
No.
The only information he did give to the police officers at that stage was the fact that, I took the boys camping for the night. We left at about 2:30, 1 o'clock in the morning to go camping in a fucking blizzard. And we left my sick wife at home.
He wanted to test out his new generator.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
With young children. The boys were like 2 and 4 at this stage. So he took them out into a blizzard, but that was warnings had been.
Oh no, the blizzard had already started.
Yeah. So this time of the night, it was full go. His kids would have been asleep at what? Well, I mean, maybe they weren't, because apparently there was no, like, he didn't actually have control over those things, but they would have been asleep by 12:30 at night. Like, he's got them out of bed and decided to go camping for the night.
And the police officer interviewing him says, which is Maxwell is interviewing him, unfortunately the kids were with him for this first fairly informal interview. They didn't read him his Miranda rights for this interview. So it was very informal. Yeah. Because they were just trying to gather information at this point and figure out where Susan is. Yeah. And so in that, they're sort of talking to him about what did Susan say when you said you wanted to take the kids out at 1 o'clock or 1:30 or whatever time it was in the morning in the middle of a blizzard? Wasn't she concerned? And he's like, oh, she didn't care.
Well, which is, from all accounts of everyone else,
not true.
That would not have been the case at all.
No
She
chance.
would not have been okay with that.
Also, for the fact that they weren't equipped to deal with that kind of weather, as you were saying before. The boys didn't even have proper coats. They didn't have proper snow tents or anything like that. I don't even know what you need.
But I wouldn't even know what you need.
No, but all I know is they weren't well equipped to be spending a night in the snow.
No.
Especially, can you imagine driving somewhere 2 o'clock in the morning with your kids and then having to set up camp?
Yeah.
from all accounts, in order to set up what he says he set up that night, it would have taken him until about 4 a.m. to set everything up.
Yeah.
They then say that he says that he got woken up by the sun the next morning, even though there was no sun because there was still a blizzard. And so there was like, I mean, obviously it became lighter, but there was no sunrise that you could actually see.
No.
But he says he woke up at about 7 a.m. So he's had, 3 hours of sleep, the kids too. Like, honestly, this is just...
It's insanity what he's talking. Like, it's really
bullshit.
is.
Like, it's absolute bullshit.
Now, at this point also, they haven't been able to get a search warrant for the house because they just aren't getting information, but also, like, so they don't have evidence to put one in for a judge, like, because there's nothing yet there. You know what I mean? Like, so... They do take his car into possession for so they do have that to look at. So I think at this point that they do take that into their position to have a look over the car overnight, and he goes home. Now the next morning he's meant to be at the police station at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
However, what does Josh do? He meticulously cleans and tidies the entire house. As I said to you, there was no search warrant that was executed at that home yet. Nothing had been, other than what they'd broken into that prior day to like see, that they had not searched that property yet. They had seen it but not searched it. So he meticulously cleaned this place, which he never ever did.
So the other thing to note is he had Jennifer and Terica there that morning, and he was directing them to clean things as well. And Jennifer said to her mum, I really don't think we should be doing this.
No.
And her mum's like, just do it. Just do what he's asking, because I mean he had so much control over her too that we'll get there. We will get there. But then Jennifer ended up ringing Maxwell and saying, "Do you think we should be cleaning this stuff up?" And he's like, "No, yes." Yeah, right. And he's like, "No, you shouldn't be."
Yeah.
And then by that stage is when Maxwell was like, "Well, I've been trying to call Josh all morning.
Yeah.
He was meant to be here at 9 a.m. It's midday by this stage.
Yeah.
And he's not there." And she's like, well, I think then she's obviously gotten him to go to the police station at that point.
He was nearly 4 hours late.
Yep.
To his 9 o'clock appointment and at this point again, I'm sorry, why aren't you looking for your wife? Like, he's not worried about her at all. There was no concern. He was more worried about cleaning the house, which giant red flag, surely. I mean,
God. It's red
circumstantial.
flag city right from the get-go.
100%. So he goes in for a further chat with the police at this point. And while this happens, the police do secure the house. They've got his car, and they said to him, after chatting to him and having a more further interview, which he wasn't forthcoming with much really at all, wasn't helpful, all those sorts of things. Maxwell said to him, look, we just need your car for probably another 15 minutes. So if you want to just wait here, your car will be ready for you to take. So he, instead of doing that, he just disappeared. Maxwell was like, you were meant to be waiting for your car. Like, it wasn't far away. It was good. They were going to give it back to him. He not only disappeared from that police station, he disappeared for 20 hours. He went straight from the police station to the airport, rented a car, and then disappeared for 20 hours. And no one knows where he was. For those 20 hours, he turned off his mobile phone. So there's no data collection off his mobile phone with him in that time. Interesting to note at this point, his dad is also unable to be tracked at that point for those exact same 20 hours because his mobile phone is also turned off, which, oh my God. So all they do know from this is from the data of the rental car company is that his car travelled 800 miles in those 20 hours.
So there was no, like these days you rent a car, it's got a GPS tracker on it. They didn't have that.
No.
So it was just by odometer readings that they were able to gather that he's travelled 800 miles in 20 hours. Where did he go? Oh, I was just driving around. Oh, yeah, where to?
So interestingly enough, the 800 miles that he could have driven basically meets up entirely in the middle of where his dad lives in Washington and where he lives in West Valley in Utah. 800 miles would have got him to there, halfway and back again kind of stuff. So that's just interesting to note. So this is where Steve becomes a little bit more red flagged in that sense, like that his phone was turned off at this same point as well. They thought it's time maybe to have a chat with Stephen and bring him in and have a little chat. in this first interview that he does with police, it immediately becomes concerning to the police because it doesn't take long for Stephen to admit to being infatuated with Susan.
Now, I'm not even talking like, oh,
She's a lovely
great girl. She's what a wonderful daughter-in-law.
No. Completely and utterly obsessed with her, and he was completely and utterly convinced that Susan was in love with him too.
Yep.
Delusional motherfucker. This is where we turn now completely bonkers.
It's fucking bonkers. Now, what a piece of shit.
Let's introduce Steve.
Fuck me.
We're going to say things about Steve here where you would have thought if someone had written a murder mystery, nightmare, thriller killer movie and this shit would have been in it and you'd been like, "Oh, that's a bit much."
Yeah. Oh, pare it back a bit.
Yeah. This is Steve.
Steve is a sexual deviant from way back.
So according to his ex-wife, Terica, in their divorce paperwork, it was filed in 1992.
Yep.
She claimed that pornography with his sons was shared.
Oh, and we're talking about like young teen, like not even preteen.
So Josh was 16 when they divorced. So she's talking way prior to even that point.
I did read somewhere, although this wasn't corroborated and I didn't read it anywhere else, but Josh was 9.
When he first
saw
porn
with his dad.
Oh, God. Their marriage was not good. And one of the biggest breaking points of their marriage was, according to Terica, was that Steve brought in the idea of having another wife and starting polygamy, which she was Mormon, but not that Mormon. Yeah. Like, there's very two factions of the Mormon church, and
you're
that
either into it or not.
Nope, and there's a majority of them are not, and so they do separate themselves entirely from that. And she was definitely down that road. But interestingly, clearly there was affairs that took place in the marriage, though, because at one stage Steve gave her an STD. So she knows that he must have been doing some things. He had some very interesting ideas, whether they were within the church realms or not, like, as in that he didn't really enforce limits on the children at all. He didn't believe in the school system, so couldn't have cared less if they went to school. The kids were never given boundaries. They were absolutely awful to her. There was a particular story where Josh pulled a knife on his mum. Another one where she had said to him, "Oh, Josh, do you mind just doing the dishes?" Oh. And he just turned around to her and told her to fuck off, and how dare she request that of him. All the boys particularly spoke to her atrociously like that. There was allegations that Josh killed Jennifer's pet gerbils by Jennifer as children, and again, none of that would have been spoken about from Steve's perspective. So very interesting household entirely.
Dynamics, yeah, absolutely.
So Steve had a hold over all the children other than Jennifer, the eldest daughter. Jennifer very much sort of steered clear of things. She stayed within speaking terms with her dad and her siblings, but had very strong views on that these things were not normal and that they shouldn't have been occurring. And she did her best, I think, to juggle both sides of her family.
What blows my mind is the fact that Jennifer has or had any engagement with her father whatsoever because he sexually assaulted her.
Yes.
And I'm not talking once or twice, and I'm not even talking low-level anything. I am talking full-blown sexual assault, repeated sexual assault against her. Whether her mum knew about it or not is unknown. However, I just don't see how she couldn't have known, but I also see how she was probably really powerless in that situation because Steve had a hold over that entire family and he dictated everything that went on within that family, what was acceptable and what wasn't. And his sexual depravity not only covered Jennifer and all of the explicit things that he did to her and made her do. But the fact that he then exposed his sons to some extremely violent pornography and very, pedophilic pornography, that's abuse towards those boys too.
Absolutely.
So the fact that there were, and in terms of any perpetration against Alina, it's not known.
No, we'll get to her.
Yeah, she's not come forward to say much.
Let's just say that, I mean, these situations, generally as a form of protection, people will side with their abuser, and it will look on the outside of, that these people are, they are under his spell, they do what he says, and because they know that that's actually the safer thing to do, as awful as those things are that you're being told to do or be a part of, they become your normal, because psychologically the brain and everyone and all parts of that person become, well, if I didn't, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of that.
Yeah, that's right. Because they also saw the abuse that Steve perpetrated against their mum. And, the odd time that somebody would go up against him, and it was just not worth living their life. So
there was a definite sort of attitude from the males in the household, that Steve instilled that in his boys then, of that women are dirt and only good for their bodies, which
Absolutely.
is actually
They're there
actual
for the
words that
sexual,
came out of Josh's mouth.
They're there for the sexual gratification of men. And then Josh's attitude towards women in his college years shows that. Shows that he was a predator. He was made into a predator. I mean, there's a lot going on for Josh. I totally get that. But the influence of his father on Josh and his brain and the way that he operated was not a good combination.
It was awful
at all. So at this time, we're now talking about the time when Susan and Josh, they're married. They've moved in with Steve to try and save some money so that they could, first of all, get out of debt from Josh's debt. He was in, I think when they got married, he was in, was it like $25,000 worth of debt? And I'm talking with nothing to show for it. He had a computer.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So Susan was working so extremely hard, and she did it. She was able to pay off Josh's debt. So he not only saw Susan as a sexual plaything, he also saw Susan
he didn't though, because he didn't like her. He didn't like touching people or them touching
her.
him.
But he still felt possessive over her.
Possessive, absolutely, and controlling over her.
Yes.
But it actually didn't become. It wasn't a sexual gratification thing for him in that sense, because he weirdly went very much the opposite direction of that. He didn't like any affection whatsoever, and you can see him in videos where Susan is quite an affectionate person and naturally can see that in her personality.
Yeah.
And she's leans over Josh and hugs him or whatever. In any way you would see a couple do that, particularly a young couple and in love. And you can see him almost withdraw and it's just, it's really unusual. It's shocked me that she didn't feel that in him, of that pull away. I don't know.
I reckon she would have.
She
felt
must
it.
have,
and she probably thought, look, maybe if I'm more maybe
yeah,
that'll
that's
help.
true. Yeah.
I mean, she was a smart girl.
Yeah,
she was a really smart woman. Even in videos with him engaging with his children, you can tell he's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
with
it's not normal.
With his children.
It's not. Yeah.
But then you look at the things he was exposed to and you think, okay.
God.
So anyway, Susan and Josh are living with Steve at this point, and Steve again keeps fucking video diaries and audio things, and oh my God, they are disgusting.
Absolutely gross. He literally he would take, when she'd get in the shower, he'd go and get her clothes that she'd laid out, whatever, come out to get dressed afterwards. He would go in and video record, lay her clothes out and put the underwear underneath the clothing as if she was laying there, and then he'd pull back the clothing and things and, oh, look at it, it's just beautiful. And
it's so disgusting.
It's so gross. It is beyond repulsive.
Absolutely repulsive.
And this is his daughter-in-law.
Susan even wrote in one of her journals that she thought that she could see a mirror that came under the bathroom door while she was having a shower one day. Oh, for sure. Well, we now know. We'll get to that in a second. The other thing that creeps me out about, just really quickly, with Steve and Susan, there's again an account by Steve. So this is in his own words. He says he went to put his arm around her and his hand brushed, like, so by putting his arm around her over her shoulder, his hand brushed the top of her breast. And he said that was the most sexually exhilarating moment of his life to that point.
He's just revolting. Absolutely revolting. There's a video of him, like, she bought a new dress and he really loved this dress on her and thought it looked beautiful. So he followed her to work. And there's a video of her walking out of work towards her car. And as she gets into the car, as the skirt of her dress kind of, as it does, as you move into a car and sit, your skirt comes up a little, right? Yeah. There's a little slip underneath her skirt. And the slip kind of shows. And on the video, you can hear him narrating this in the, oh, she did that for me.
Oh, this is the thing. Even when he talks about putting his arm around her, he's like, she moved up so that I could feel that.
Yeah.
No, she fucking didn't, you mate. Fucking creep.
Can you imagine? I don't know, just that in that situation, she is the daughter-in-law. She's got her husband, fairly new husband here,
and
his
father.
Before
they had children.
Before kids. She's playing this game of like, you can't go to how do you go to your husband and say, your dad's a fucking creep. I hate him. I can't stand him. He's disgusting. She's trying to play a game here of like, this man's putting a roof over her head so we can move out.
So and, we can save money.
She's 19 without knowledge of, of how to manage this situation. How do you navigate that? I think she did a brilliant job, to be really honest, of trying to navigate, like, keeping everyone safe and okay. Like, she would not have felt, she was being abused. Like, it was an emotional abuse in that sense of putting her in that position. She was, the voyeurism that was going on, that she was unaware of, that's another form of abuse.
Absolutely.
The fact this whole situation was an absolute shit show for her, that she was either going to ruin her marriage, potentially be sexually abused by this bloke, physically, already being emotionally sexually abused by him and psychologically, let alone physically that occurring, which she was, I 100% know that would have been on her mind of like, what the fuck is going to happen here?
Absolutely.
To manage that dynamic would have been so challenging, and I think she did as best as she freaking ever could have to manage that situation, because ultimately he comes to her, and this is caught on camcorder, that he sat her down in his car.
Yeah, he picked her up from work this particular day.
Yep. And he expressed his love for her. And listening to it, she does such a good job of like not going, no, I'm not into that. She does it because she knows she needs to keep the situation calm. And so some people, mainly Alina, believe this is her saying that she did love him because you didn't say she didn't. We'll get to that. She really carefully treads to say, that she doesn't reciprocate that because she's married to Josh and I just want to stay in the position of being your daughter-in-law. He actually, in that conversation, kind of alludes to, well, Josh and I could just share you.
Yep.
Fucking gross.
He also basically says like, he almost blames her because, and he says like, you do these things and they really turn me on.
And you know they do.
And she goes, oh, you're actually, that's not, I don't know that. Like, that's not.
I'm sorry if she's like, it's so victim here. She's, I'm sorry I'm sorry I've done that for you. Done that to you. Like, she takes all this blame on and like, I'm so sorry.
My intent.
Like she does not need to apologise for anything. She did nothing wrong. No. So awful. That's literally that middle, being abused, that she's like, I'm apologising to you for that. That's my fault. I'm sorry I did that. I didn't mean to, and I'm so sorry. Oh, it just breaks my heart. Mm-hmm. But it's awful to listen to, and the way he speaks to her of like this.
Disgusting.
He just drools. He literally drools over her. It's disgusting. And as I say, he's the father-in-law. He wants to share her with his son. That is just disgusting.
But then you think about, they've been sharing, as in Josh and Steve have been sharing sexual experiences by engaging in pornography from such a young age. To him, it was probably nothing.
No.
It's sickening.
Yeah.
And how much do you feel for this poor young 19, 20-year-old
She's
woman?
20, I think, at this point. Yeah. Like,
it's
so
just
awful.
Absolutely horrific.
So somehow, I don't know how she did this, she somehow managed to expressed all this to Josh, and they moved out. So this is when they moved to West Valley, Utah.
Yeah.
So they did move, and a considerable further distance away from him, which, I congratulate her on managing that situation to get herself away from Steve. And obviously at no point did she say to Josh, I think, cut your father off entirely. I think she managed that very well of like, we just need to have some distance, However, Josh did stop speaking to him for some time. So there must have been something, we don't really know what, but something's gone on in that situation. But as they've moved away, slowly the phone calls start.
Yeah.
And according to Jennifer, she witnessed quite a bit of this, that with every phone call that he did make to Steve or Steve to him, after that would be an argument between him and Susan. So she clearly was like very much like, what the fuck? Why are you building this relationship back with him?
Up, yeah.
We need to keep the distance. And so I do think she was, don't cut him off, but don't, we're not engaging with him.
With him.
This is not right. He's got some issues like massively. And she wasn't even aware of all of what was going on, as we say, like the voyeurism, and there's more to that we'll get to.
Yeah.
So she's at this point wanting to keep distance, but Josh was very much being caught back in again and being pulled back in by Steve, and the phone calls were getting longer and longer and more regular, which was upsetting Susan, and absolutely fair enough.
Absolutely.
And so what were those conversations they were having together? Because Steve still very much, even like this is now we're talking years of them being moved out of his place. And then this interview he had with these police officers was convinced Susan was in love with him and he was in love with her. This is like 5 years after them moving out of that house and that conversation occurring, where she made it clear, I'm your daughter-in-law. That's where this ends. Like, you don't walk away from that after 5 years going, oh, yeah, this is no, that's not going to go anywhere.
Steve said in one of his journals that when they moved away, he thought, okay, that's it. Susan's dead to me. I'm not engaging with her anymore because she's rejected me. Because how dare she reject him?
Oh, how dare
for
she?
fuck's sake, there was nothing there to there shouldn't have been anything there to reject, you dipshit.
Yeah.
But then I think it was Alina said to him, no, Dad, you're actually right. Like, I think she really does love you. And the reason she's moved away is because she can't help herself being around you.
I didn't know that. Lena's got problems. I mean, I feel for her. I have empathy for her.
She's a victim.
But, oh, my God, at some point she has to get it.
And get
but
it.
she doesn't.
No.
So
what we're saying here is like this situation was, my God, volatile at best. It was just horrific for almost everyone involved.
So at this point, like, we're all looking at this going like, well, clearly we know that Susan's missing. Josh and the boys have returned.
Yep.
Steve's a fucking weirdo. Surely someone will be arrested here of some point, even on circumstantial evidence. There's a fair bit here to kind of maybe pull someone in, maybe. The police didn't. They couldn't. There was a number of reasons for that. They had recently had another case of Elizabeth Smart in the Utah area.
We're going to have to cover.
We'll cover that on another day.
Someday.
But so that was an interesting case. But what happened there basically was that they believed that she had been kidnapped and was killed, but there was no body, and they did try to prosecute family members on it. She turned up alive. So they were trigger shy in terms of really arresting someone and following through on something without a body, because they had really like
it was fresh in their memory.
Very fresh that didn't go well, and that the public, were not okay with this situation that had gone on.
And they jumped to conclusions, I guess, where there wasn't any hard evidence.
That's it.
They were gun shy, essentially. They didn't know really how to take it in light of that experience that the police force had recently encountered.
For sure.
So Susan, so the police were trying to think of different theories that might have come to the fore and reasons that she might have, I don't know, gone somewhere, because Josh said What were his excuses for her that why he thought she might have gone?
A few that he put forward that because there was a guy went missing about 2 weeks or something after she did. So he made a decision. He made this random connection and went, she's had an affair. She's having an affair with that guy who also disappeared, and the two of them have run off together. And it's like, well, hang on a second. There's no evidence of them two ever meeting. They lived at like opposite ends of the state, for one thing. Like there was no connection of these two whatsoever. But he decided, she's, and he very much went down that track. And he was like,
they'd gone to Miami or something.
Yeah.
Like, where did you even get that from? Like, so it's just obviously he was just trying to clutch at straws.
Well, you would think that this would be a bloke who'd be like out on the searches looking for her and all those sorts of things. No, he was not. Instead, him and his dad were going on media and spouting all this stuff and really, saying awful things about Susan, of putting out there that, that she's left her kids, to run off with a man and all these sorts of things. So, and they Steve loved talking about the fact that she was in love with him. And he told that on, national television as well. So they were really making her out as if she was a sexual person who had, was really exposing herself to him, and that it was all her that put that on him. Really awful things to this poor woman who had no way to defend herself, because where was she? We don't know.
We still don't know.
No. So at this point they were basically going, the police were very frustrated because they felt like it was a fairly clear that she's...
I mean, it was pretty evident to them, even though there was no hard evidence.
Well, it's all circumstantial. They had no actual physical evidence, so they were like, we need to get something. And the one thing they kept referring to was her journals. She had these journals that Josh would speak about in these interviews and things that could clear them. That apparently in these journals, she accused Chuck, her father, of abusing her, and that she was a troubled child and had all these issues. And so that everything in the journals, basically, according to them, was going to clear everything, that they had nothing to do with it. Because Josh had been named a person of interest, but obviously just not arrested or anything. So the cops were very frustrated, kind of going, well, these journals, we need to get a handle on these journals. But they couldn't get a warrant to get into the house because they couldn't prove they even had these journals. So what they do was the cops set up this honk and wave. So Chuck and Steve had a fairly volatile relationship at this point too, because obviously they're bad-mouthing their daughter, who he's vehemently trying to find and very, very sure that Josh had something to do with that. So what they did was they basically baited him, Chuck was sent out to bait Stephen. So they did a honk and wave, which was what basically the idea was to keep Susan's name out in the public and people looking, that you put up signs and stuff, as people drive past, honk your horn, to, and wave and that, to, recognise it and Susan Powell's name and all those sorts of things. So if you support us, honk your horn on your car as you drive past. So they set this up though on a particular corner where they knew that Steve would come every Saturday. He went to a bank. So they went on a corner where he'd have to come past and he would see this. And of course, Steve can't walk past an opportunity to have his voice heard. So he fell into this entirely, went over, had an argument with Chuck around, like that Susan's not missing, she's run off with a bloke, and all these things, and they're arguing. But the whole idea was to get him to mention these journals and try and get some evidence of them having them in their possession so that they could then execute a warrant. So I love the video of this, like here's a full video of the two having this argument, and I love it because Chuck is the most adorable man.
Oh, he's so lovely.
Oh.
He's so nice.
And you can see him just kind of like, Steve's there mouthing off being the dick that he is, and he's saying all this stuff, and he's literally walked straight into this trap. And you can see Chuck kind of going like, well, we've got what we came for. Like, can we stop this now? I don't really want to talk to him. Like, it's like, oh, can I get away from this piece of shit? And so, because what he says in that is that the words that he used were, those journals were completed when she was 20 years of age, when she was Josh's wife, so they are Josh's property. Bang. Gotcha, you motherfucker. So the cops were able to then get their warrant to then search his house. So at this stage, Josh and his boys were living with Steve at this point. So they had moved right away from where Susan had gone missing from to Washington.
And the support of like all of the people who actually gave a shit about Susan. Mm-hmm. She had friends. Jennifer lived there, and Terrica. And Susan and Jennifer were very, very good friends, being sisters-in-law. Jennifer didn't like Josh,
No,
but she loved Susan.
Yeah, and she protected a bit. I think she was very much, in her corner.
For sure.
Well, still to this day is.
Yes.
Yeah, so this allows the police then to get into Steve's house, but in their mind still is to search for things like they want these journals particularly. They are going in there, and with Chuck, he's desperately wanting to think that they're walking away from this with an arrest of Josh. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day of searching that house, he gets a phone call from Alice Maxwell who says, "We have made an arrest of Stephen Powell."
Steve.
Which Chuck is somewhat disappointed with. However, why? What's going on? Maybe we have some action here. Unfortunately,
it's on something completely unrelated.
On something, not completely unrelated.
Completely unrelated. No, you're right.
Not completely
It's on
unrelated.
something unrelated to Susan's disappearance.
The shit they found in that house is just disgusting. First list of things that were found that were revolting. There was his book after book after book journal documenting every element of his life in journals. Mm-hmm. The camera recordings, videotape after videotape,
it was thousands of
hours. Everything that had all narrated by him and everything. And so there was also photographs of Susan, photograph of other women, photograph of children in houses nearby.
Literally like girls from, so he would look out his back window
into their bathroom
and photograph, like I'm talking young, under the age of 10, young girls.
Yeah. So there was all of that. Then there was also photos of Susan and him being superimposed into those photos. Mm-hmm. Like gross. But even grosser again, there were plastic Ziploc bags named with Susan's name on them, dated, some with cotton balls of, taking off her nail polish. Mm-hmm. Others, again, named and dated with her fingernail and toenail clippings in them. Mm-hmm. Others, named and dated with her tampon applicators.
Yep.
I could not be more repulsed by this absolute psychopath.
I mean, that is psychopathic. That is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Now, these were things that he had kept for literally, in some cases, it was like nearly 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's unfathomable.
Uh-huh. There was boxes and boxes and boxes of this stuff that they took out of that house, and someone had to sit through those videos, and you can find them and watch some of these, and he is the creepiest guy. I mean, we've done a lot of these, and there's a lot more to come that I don't know that we will ever come across another one of him. I hope we don't.
I hope not.
He is beyond.
He is a vile piece of shit.
I'm actually going to go with a sack of shit. Mm-hmm. It's not just one piece.
True.
Oh, he's just beyond gross.
He's the worst. He is the worst.
Oh, there were 5,000 photos of Susan. And so the videos of the other women meant that, so there was voyeurism in that. Mm-hmm. And so they could contact these women, they could have conversations with them and find out, did you know these videos existed of you? No. Therefore, prosecute the guy, so, and as exactly as, and obviously with the children next door, they were able to get to there as well, where they were able to take them to court on that. Now, because Susan is not around though, they can't prove that she didn't know those videos were being taken of her. When you watch them, it's very clear that she was unaware, but you can't prove it.
Even the photos.
Yeah.
You know she's not being photographed.
No, there's plenty where she does know and she interacts with him, but there's certainly ones where she's not aware.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Even in some of the photos, you're like, okay, he's literally cropped her out of a photo that's obviously been taken from a distance.
Yes.
Or, and touching her hair or whatever. It's just so it's
awful.
so creepy.
So at this stage, because Steve's arrested for these things, and because a lot of it does involve children as well, thankfully at this point, the kids are actually taken into custody, into protective custody, because they were living under that same roof. So they cannot live there with Steve. So they're taken under protective custody. At this point, when the police officer walks over to Josh at the house in this moment and says to him, look, we're going to take the kids into protective custody. The kids can't live here. According to this police officer, Josh did not hug his children goodbye, nothing. He had no emotion whatsoever to that information. So, it was just...
I'd be like, fuck, you're taking my kids away.
Oh, I mean, if you
take my dad away.
Take him away. Oh, my God, that's gross. I don't want to know about that. That's awful. But my kids, I'll look after them.
Did you find any content related to my children in there? Is there something more I need to be looking into? But no.
So we can get in a little bit here to the children. So obviously Charlie and Brayden were very young when Susan disappeared. But there were psychologists were interviewed the children and things and carefully had conversations with them.
Yeah.
So Charlie particularly, so he was the older of the two boys, and he, in one interview with a psychologist, she asked him, about his mum, and do you talk about mum at home? And his answer to that was, we don't talk about Susan or camping. I keep all the secrets.
Oh, this poor little boy.
Now, not only the two parts of that kill me, the first one is that he calls her Susan.
Mm-hmm.
That is awful. The fact that that's how she is being referenced around those boys.
And they've obviously been told not to call her mum.
Well, I don't even know if it's been told not to, but they're conditioned not to. As in, I think because, to me, because she's not there, all the conversations about mum aren't, your mum loves you very much. No matter where she is, she loves you. And it's not being called mum. She's not being called mum. It's conversations between adults.
Susan left you.
Susan does that. Susan did this. Susan this. So she's not being referenced as mum. And the caring person who she was is being removed from their memories then. It's disgusting. Oh, God.
So the police along with this psychologist, when they interviewed Charlie, he confirmed that the camping trip in the middle of the night with Joshua took place.
Yeah.
However, he also stated that Susan went with them but didn't come home with them.
Yeah.
A few weeks after Susan disappeared, his teacher, she's interviewed a lot actually. I think she quite likes the spotlight.
Oh, God.
But she said that he has said to her that he knows his mum is dead. And when Brayden was interviewed, now given Brayden's 2 years younger, I think he was barely 3 at this point, not quite 3. He drew a picture of a van with 3 people in it and told the psychologist who was with him, Mummy was in the trunk. Now, when they forensically investigated the van, they didn't really find a lot. It had been cleaned. And there is CCTV footage of Josh cleaning the van on the way home from the camping trip. They also found, when they were doing a forensic investigation of the house, now, mind you, we already know this, that the couch had been cleaned. Now, Josh had also, a week or 2 before this, bought a rug doctor. Who the fuck buys a rug doctor? You go and hire one from the supermarket if you really need one. Yeah. Anyway, he'd bought one because, he bought anything he wanted whenever he wanted it. Yeah. And he had used the rug doctor according to him, he asked Susan the night before she disappeared at 10 p.m. before she went to bed, could you just clean the couch? Because it was really grotty with the kids' boogers.
Oh, that mean the woman that was sick and unwell and had to go to bed early?
Yeah.
Sure he did.
So, she decided to clean it at 10 o'clock that night. Yeah. And that's why it was wet. And so Josh had to set up the fans to make sure it didn't grow mildew.
The other thing we might just go back a little bit on before we move to this next stage is that his brother Michael...
Oh, yes.
So Alina and Michael, obviously in Washington, and she's disappeared in Utah. They did visit when this first happened a couple of times. They did visit. But on the second trip they made across to Utah, on the way back from there, Michael's car mysteriously breaks down. Now, they're sort of midway between Washington and Utah at this point. So, and when I say break down, it's fixable, I guess. I don't know. We don't really know. According to Michael, his car broke down. So he could have had that car then towed somewhere locally, but instead he chose to tow it so far away to a particular place where that car needed to be destroyed. It so his words were at the time was that, oh no, it was completely done. It was, unfixable. It needs to get destroyed. Not just like gone to the wreckers, pay someone to pick it up and take it off to a wreckers, like kind of thing of like picked apart, parts used for various things. No, destroyed. Why? So the cops did get wind of this, and so they went out because what happened, he actually contacted a company to do a drone photo over the top of this wreckers, to check that it had been destroyed yet. Really weird. So the cops got hold of this information and went, we need to go out to this place and find out what's going on here. So they go out there and they took with them cadaver dogs who could smell, obviously, decomposing bodies, and they let them loose in this entire massive yard.
And we're talking like a massive wreck yard, like huge.
Literally within minutes, they went directly straight over to Michael's car and alerted. So the police then test this, and they did find, evidence of DNA in the carpet of the boot, I believe, or something.
That's right. It was in the boot. Yep.
Now, unfortunately, though, when they looked at it closer, yes, there was definitely DNA there, but not enough to get a matching that, say, to Susan, say. I don't know how that works, but
no, I think it had been cleaned. I think that was what it was.
Right.
So the dogs alerted to obviously a scent, which is okay. That's great.
Yeah.
But when they went to then try and get the evidence, they weren't able to gather enough usable DNA because I believe they'd used bleach or something that had degraded the DNA a point. Yep. To a point where they couldn't actually
get a full profile.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. Yeah. So another red flag, if nothing else, that just putting it out there potentially that Michael was part of this knowledge of this too, and maybe moved the body.
Or Steve used Michael's car for something.
Maybe that's possible too. But this car certainly was an issue.
When Josh drove this 800 miles in the rental car for 20 hours and Steve disappeared for the same 20 hours, we don't know how Steve got to wherever he got to either. So I'm like, have they transported Susan's body? We don't know. We actually don't know what's happened.
But that's fact of what has occurred.
Yep.
So real odd, real strange. So just putting that in there as well as information that occurred prior.
Yep.
So we're back here where we've got Steve arrested. Susan's still missing. Josh has had the boys removed from him at this point. And so they go to court on this. Now, at this point, thankfully, the courts do place them in the custody of the Cox family, so with Judy and Chuck, Susan's parents. Mm-hmm. However, the courts decide that Josh is which I use formal terms of what our legal system here will use, good enough, I use inverted commas, he is a good enough parent because he attends to the children, he feeds them, he shows up on time, genuine bare minimums, that he's a good enough parent to have visitation with his kids at this point while they sort out who is what and all this evidence they've gathered on his dad and whether he's part of this, whatever. They've got to ascertain all these things. So, and the simple fact of the matter is he's a prime suspect in a disappearance of his wife.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I think the court then decided to impose that the visitations needed to be supervised.
Yes. So the visitation had to be supervised. Now, the supervisions did occur originally in a facility, which is what they are meant to happen if they're supervised. However, they were the other people who were visiting children in this facility didn't like Josh being there. This was a really well-known situation in the area, and people were commenting and saying, I don't want him around my children, because of the situation of who his dad was and what that was going on with that. He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be around children in full stop. Shock horror that, really? General people who also have to have visitation of their children acknowledge that this dude shouldn't have visitation with his children. Mm-hmm. That says a lot to me.
Yep.
I'll get really, really, really pissed about this shit. So it was taking place in the facility, but at a point they went, well, this isn't working. Other people don't want him here. So they moved it from there to being elsewhere. But we'll come back to that.
Yep.
So obviously this is all playing out in terms of Steve and what's been found in his house. And in that situation, what was found was on a computer that belonged to Josh was animated child pornography. Now, animated child pornography is a grey area a little bit legally in terms of what that means, because real children aren't involved. Where does it land in terms of legally what you should or shouldn't have of that in your possession?
Ethically, fucked.
Yes.
Legally, grey.
Yeah. So the courts basically decide that more psychological assessments need to be done. And a psychologist, when he got wind of this, he was doing assessments already on Josh. And at this point, when he got wind of that fact that this information was on a computer that he owned, he said that's a deal breaker for him in terms of the kids.
Yes.
So what he wanted then was a full psychosexual analysis and evaluation of Josh, which includes a polygraph. And in that polygraph, he can be asked anything. So that meant that what was on the table now was that he could be hooked up to a polygraph and asked direct questions about Susan's disappearance. Now, turns out the porn that was on his computer actually wasn't his. That pornography had been put on, so that computer had been purchased actually by Susan, like a long time ago, secondhand. And it was provable that porn had actually been put on that computer before he even owned it. So it was way, way deep down in there, however computers work, I don't know. But that was actually proven that it wasn't his.
Okay.
However, it was enough for them to say, we need more information about this at the time of nah. So the kids are obviously in temporary custody with Judy and Chuck, and they're having supervised visitations with Josh until this assessment is done. And he is now under the pump because this polygraph, I think,
is
really
imminent.
gave him a real spun.
It's worth noting as well the supervision of these visitations was done with a social worker. So it's not like it was Judy doing the supervision or Chuck doing the supervision. It was with a court-appointed social worker. Yeah.
And with all this going on in terms of like the visitations meant to be happening at a facility but then changing to being at Josh's house with it but still supervised, Chuck was actually jumping up and down in the background saying, I am seeing signs here of similar things that Susan was raising around Josh's personality and what was going on for him prior to her disappearance. He actually said that to police officers, social workers, courts. He went to everyone. He was concerned.
Very concerned.
Very, 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 very concerned. He literally could not have done any more. I really want to say that. I feel
he was so explicit in what he said as well.
Yeah.
He's like, Josh's behaviours are escalating. I am very concerned that Josh is going to hurt the children.
Mm-hmm.
I am very concerned that Josh is going to hurt himself.
Yeah.
Not that, I mean, at the end of the
Who
day,
cares?
Who cares if he hurts himself? But he was saying something's going to happen. Like he knew.
We're getting somewhere. This isn't okay.
This isn't okay.
The fact of what's been put on him of like you might not get your kids back if this sexual analysis comes back with stuff. If this polygraph comes back with stuff, you may lose your children. Could be a trigger of some sort.
I don't feel like it was the children. I don't feel like it was losing the children that was his motivation here. I feel like it was more that he was going to be fully exposed.
Yeah, it's fully exposed. Yeah. So we're here.
We're here.
I've been avoiding it. Have you noticed?
Oh, yeah. It's so much.
So this is Super Bowl Sunday, February 5th, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Josh wakes up. He goes to the bank, gets out some money, goes and buys gasoline. He's then got a visit with his boys in his home. Now, at this point, he had actually moved out, obviously, so he could have these visitations. This was not at Steve's house. He had rented a property just down the road from his dad's house. Fucking get away from that bloke.
Get the fuck away from him.
So he'd rented this house just down the road from Steve's place. So he had his own place there. And in this house, he had like a toy room for the kids set up, a bunch of their toys and everything.
Not a lot of furniture, not a lot of homey stuff.
No.
But, I guess it was a new rental. He didn't have a lot of things to fill it. In the days prior to this, he'd actually gone to a hardware store and he'd bought an acetylene torch. When he went to this hardware store to buy the torch, the hardware store staff commented on how weird he was, and so much so that they were like, "Oh, mate, what do you need an acetylene torch for?" And he's like, "Oh, I just want to see how it works, and I've never used one before, so I just thought I'd give it a go." He bought all of the connections, the tanks, everything that you need, and then this just goes to show his hubris as well, because he went to this shop say it closed at 5, right? He went there at 4:50, spent 45 minutes harassing the staff about it.
Let's make sure they remember you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What a fucking idiot! Like he's just that's what I'm saying. The hubris is just. Ugh. So he ends up buying this torch eventually. He gets home and he tries to connect it all together. Like you need special lines or something to connect the tank to the torch part.
Right.
And he hadn't bought the right connectors. And because this shop's now shut, he goes to Lowe's, like the local hardware store, which was open till say 6 or whatever time.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, you've actually bought the wrong, tank has the wrong connections." So he's then pissed off because he then has to go and buy these new tanks and have them then filled with the acetylene and all of that sort of stuff. So he's gone to a lot of trouble to have this acetylene torch in good working order. Continue.
Oh, God. So the social worker, who was a 65-year-old woman, she was instructed to pick the boys up from Judy and Chuck's house and drive them over to Josh's. So they're driving over, and she said that the boys were very happy and very keen to see their dad, which was lovely. So she said they got out of the car. She parked the car at the front, got out of the car and walked down the driveway and got to the front door. The boys are very excited and very jittery. And these boys were very boisterous boys, very active boys. So and Josh has come to the door and immediately said to the boys, "I've got something really special for you. I've got a surprise for you," and let the boys in through the door, and they've run in. "Oh my God, Dad's got a surprise for us," and then he's slammed the door in the social worker's face and not let her in the house.
Now, this is against the court order.
Absolutely.
She had to be in full view of those children at all times.
Yeah. So he's in the house with the 2 children and she's stuck outside. She's banging on the door, trying to get access. It's locked. She's not able to get in that house. So rightly so, she rings 911. Now this 911 call absolutely kills me.
Oh, same.
Oh my God. I do hope that 911 dispatcher is not in that job anymore.
Oh, they couldn't be.
Couldn't be. So she's a bit frustrating too because she doesn't know the address and she gets a bit
she's flustered. She's
very flustered, but
she's panicking.
Yeah,
the social worker is panicking.
Yes, and so in this 911 call, she says, that this is the situation. I'm meant to be here supervising this visit, but he's shut the door and I'm stuck outside. This fucking 911 caller is like, "But who's there to visit? But who's there to supervise if you're having the visit?" It's like, fuck me.
No. Fucking listen.
This gets really she's like, she can't find the address, which I'm like, "You just pulled up to the address, please. Just get the number, get the street address." Because he's like, "I can't send anyone until you tell me where you are." And she's like, "Well, can't you just, track my phone?" And he's like, "No, it doesn't work like that." It's like, oh my God, just freaking start sending people because then she says, "I can smell gasoline and I've just heard one of the boys scream." Oh.
By this stage, she has gone to her car because
she had to get the address and
that's
stuff.
That's right.
And
everything her notebook and everything was in the car.
Yeah.
Plus, she could smell gas for fuck's sake.
She actually, I think she even says, "I need to move my car.
I need to move away."
Move away.
Yeah.
So the other one that ultimately this gets me when the dispatcher says to her, she goes, "So is someone on their way?" And he says, "Look, they'll be there, but they need to attend to emergencies, like life-threatening situations first."
Oh my fucking
I just
Lord.
can't.
I think in that 911 call though, she is absolutely conveying that she needs someone there now. It's not like she's like, "Oh, look, the kids have gone inside and I just can't get in." She is panicked. She's like, no, what you don't
This is a
understand.
life-threatening
This is a life-
situation.
Exactly.
I am in fear of those children's lives.
Something
this
is
Josh
happening.
Powell. She keeps
Yes,
saying to him,
yes.
like, you should know
has
that
no,
name.
And then he has no idea who that is.
No, he's like, sorry, so how do you spell that? And I was,
Yeah.
this guy is flashed over the news. He is known in this area. This is a known story of what's going on and breaking stuff. As like we were talking about the mushroom lady, like,
Yeah.
Erin Patterson. Everyone knows that name. It's like that kind of level of, notoriety of this case.
That's right.
And she's like, it's Josh Powell. He's, they think that he killed his wife. Like, she's saying all this on the phone and he is just not reacting. Oh, they'll be there. So he does eventually fucking dispatch people and they do get there. However, already the house is alight and fire is coming out of the house.
Now, we're talking an initial explosion. So it was enough to alert neighbours and enough to really, like, people were making these 911 phone calls as soon as they heard the noise because it would have been extraordinary.
Yeah.
So we're talking a gas explosion, basically. And can you even imagine, so the social worker's name was Elizabeth. Can you even imagine how she must have felt in that moment?
I can't. Oh, no. So in that day, Josh had, first of all, in that morning, he had sent emails out to people. He'd actually called Alina and left a voicemail message on her phone. And again, you can hear that. That message, I don't feel any compassion for him whatsoever.
Oh,
but
none.
in that voicemail message, I find his tone even still not genuine, even though what he did, like he was absolutely going to do what he was saying. I just still don't find anything he says genuine. So the way he speaks in that voicemail message is that, he doesn't actually say the words, I'm going to kill myself or anything like that. He just says, I can't do this. He doesn't admit to anything. He doesn't even bring up Susan. Her name, it's not even like, he goes, I'm sorry for what I've done, but he doesn't say for hurting Susan or any of that. Her name is never mentioned. He just says, I can't live without my boys. Now, so he's basically inferring he knows that he's going to lose the boys if he goes through with this evaluation and polygraph. Well, why would you lose your boys if you go through with that? What's going to come out of that?
What are you afraid of?
What are you afraid of actually coming out of that? Because I don't think it's actually losing your boys. That's where I just don't find any genuine
it's absolutely
in that. So he doesn't confess, obviously, doesn't even mention her, but it's a fairly lengthy message that he leaves around the fact of like, I can't live anymore. He sent emails off to a few people as well, sort of saying what he was going to, that he was going to end his life. But that's really it. This killed me. Poor Chuck obviously got the phone call from, again, Alice Maxwell, who got in touch with him saying, this is what's going on. And so Chuck went, I want to go. So he made sure, Alice was just such a beautiful person. He made sure that Chuck was escorted with police to get there, which they knew was too late. Like they knew that this was all done and dusted, but he wanted to be there, so they were going to get him there. So they took him to go and see. Chuck said he walked up to the house, which was still ablaze and still trying to get this fire out. And he said he just knew immediately there was no chance those boys were coming home to him, which he just said like that was just beyond.
He'd already lost his daughter. And
his last piece to her.
That's right. They were his last connection to her. So Josh, in my mind, did this as a vindictive sort of last case.
If he wasn't going to have those boys, no one was going to have them. It's not about him wanting them. It's about no one else having them.
That's right. That's exactly what I was about to say because I don't think he would have given a shit whether he saw the boys again or not, but he didn't want anyone else to have them either. So he wanted to inflict the most pain on Susan's family, and he's absolutely done that because he has now wiped out the two most precious things to her and the two most precious things to Susan's family that they had and the connection that they still had to her.
Yeah.
These poor little innocent boys, they did nothing wrong.
No. So that vile sack of shit, he didn't just put the house on fire. So what happened when he closed that door, that front door, those boys ran giddily, happily into their playroom, thinking Dad had to surprise them, something lovely for them.
All these toys.
The only thing that they had in the majority of the house was these toys for these boys. Ran in there thinking they were getting a surprise. He attacked them with some sort of axe or pick.
Yeah, it was a hatchet or something.
They weren't sure exactly what the tool was, but there was definitely
destroyed in the fire.
There was definitely injuries to the children that inferred that there was this attack on them first before they died, and they were found on the floor in the room holding hands. But the thing is, that's not what caused their death. So the three of them, the cause of death for the three of them was carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yep.
It wasn't even – so he attacked them like for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just –
like carbon monoxide poisoning I think is actually quite a peaceful way to go.
You pass out before you know what's going on.
What's happening.
He could have just done that.
Yep.
Like, I mean, none of it. He should have done none of it. I don't want to – but
why inflict the violence?
Have the violence.
Yep.
I just can't with that. That just absolutely kills me. You couldn't. How do you do that to your own children?
Oh,
you have no emotion, no soul to be able to do that. Nah.
Not a human being. Not a human being.
So the only advocate that Josh has is Alina. She vehemently supports him as not being a monster to this day, which I just...
Whereas Jennifer, his other sister, said as soon as Susan went missing, she knew it was Josh.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she feels guilty for the fact that he killed the boys because she said, I should have known that this is where it was going.
Yeah.
It's not her fault.
No.
This is only Josh's fault.
Absolutely. Yeah. So following this absolute, he's a family annihilator. He has annihilated her family. It's just awful. So after this though, Steve does go to trial for his, so he ends up being like charged with, I think it was like 1 count of child pornography, 1 count of voyeurism. Like it was just 1 count of things. I think he was actually sentenced to like 10 years, but he only ended up serving 5 or 5,
yeah,
somewhere around that.
Yeah.
He came out of jail after those years, and he went to like a halfway house-ish kind of place.
He served nearly 6 years.
Oh, nearly 6 years.
So he was released on the 11th of July in 2017.
Yeah. So he, with not long after being released, suffered a heart attack and died. So that's all we really need to say about him. Although the police were like pretty keen to have a chat with him again to see if he could, because obviously no longer they could get information from Josh around what happened to Susan. They were hoping that maybe at this point, knowing that Josh was not around anymore, that maybe Steve would fess up as to what went on, but they didn't get to him in time. So they did hear that, he's had a heart attack. So they actually went to the hospital. They directed themselves there to go and speak to him, but they didn't get there in time before he passed away. So unfortunately didn't get any deathbed, confessions
or anything
out of him, which is a bit sad. Again, following on after that in February 12th, 2013, Michael, Josh's brother, committed suicide, interestingly. So he jumped off a roof and plummeted to his death, unfortunately. There's video footage, CCTV footage of him getting into a lift on his own. Goes up to the top, to the roof, and the next thing and people witnessed him coming off the roof. Alina to this day believes he was pushed. There was no one else up there, which is interesting. So, I mean, between all of that, so the police have closed Susan's case. They're not looking for other suspects with the information that they basically say that they believe Josh did something. Josh hurt her. She killed her, and quite possibly either, if not both, Michael and Steve moved her body. Mm-hmm. I've heard allegations of maybe Josh handed her body over to Steve to do what he wanted to do with that.
I've read about that too.
That's interesting one.
I mean, look at how depraved he was. That makes me feel absolutely ill. But you know what? I can't discount that in my mind.
No.
Which is such a fucked up thing to say.
So Michael was quoted as saying to police that even if I did know something, I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So there was definitely some evidence around that he potentially at least knew stuff, if not didn't partake in things. Also to note, just coming up to Michael committing suicide, there was a private detective, and I don't know who had employed this private detective. It could have been interested citizens. It's not Chuck. It's not the Cox family, but someone was paying a detective to surveil him.
Oh, okay.
And this person was apparently getting close to getting some information.
Oh.
And that's potentially why he was pushed to a point where he jumped off
okay. Right.
the roof. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we don't have answers to a lot of this, but one thing I will just say, in Steve's journals, he wrote on Tuesday the 8th of December, so the day after she disappeared, really, that, that following day, at 5:35 a.m. he wrote this. He documented to that extent. So this is bloody early in the morning on that. This is the day that that within that 20 hours of them disappearing, right? He wrote in his journal that Josh would have disposed of her body in some grotesque way. Maybe he took her and cremated her in an industrial site.
What the fuck?
He also believed that Josh, he wrote in this same journal, that he wanted to do it his way and avoid a messy and costly divorce.
All Josh cared about, and this came through in all of his little fucking weird video journals, was money.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was about money.
Yeah.
He even bragged in one of his police interviews how there was some restaurant near where they lived and he could feed the entire family for $4.70 on a particular day where they had and he was able to use he was so clever. He was so clever he could feed his whole family for $4.70.
What a piece of shit.
He's such a fucking piece of shit. He did not care about Susan. He did not care about those beautiful little boys.
I think that in some way, I think ultimately Steve is, whether he had a hand in this or not, I do think he's ultimately responsible. Because he had these children grow up in a world where they had no sense of normality, of what compassion is, or,
He was exposing them to violent pornography at
such
under
a
the
young
age of
age.
10.
He destroyed them.
That changes your brain chemistry, that kind of thing.
It literally does. Yeah.
So, yeah, and Josh, yes, there was a lot, I think there was a lot undiagnosed in him as well.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those things are things that people live with each and every day and don't end up murdering their wife and murdering their children. Yeah. I can't even imagine how somebody would get to the point that he has.
No.
I think you're right. I think there's definitely childhood issues there, but at the end of the day, he grew up into an adult and he made decisions that fucking ruined so many lives. I think the way he killed his children is, it actually makes me feel physically ill to even, I can't go there.
No.
Because it's unfathomable that somebody could inflict that kind of harm on their own children.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even.
No.
How Susan died, I don't even want to think about it.
Yep. I mean, I can only hope, to be honest, that there was a poison, say, in that food.
Yeah.
And that she went in some way peacefully, because, I mean, it unfortunately, the cleanup that occurred in that couch area infers maybe not. So,
well, that's right, because they found blood,
very tiny little spots of blood,
which were proven to be Susan's.
Yeah.
That doesn't prove
that
anything
she would have
else.
cut her finger in the kitchen.
That's right.
Weeks earlier, who knows?
That's
you don't
right.
know, but
all of these signs point to what was potentially a violent end for her too.
And but in all of this, I go back to Alina and think of what her life has been to get her to this point where she's so misinformed around her own family. Her take on all of this is so morphed into something that, to be the only person on this planet basically who believes that her family are innocent, it says something.
Yeah.
But she's got to have experienced an awful lot of shit in her life.
Absolutely.
And I wonder whether, I think she had a real hatred for Susan. And I do think, morbidly as it is, I think that she was jealous of Susan and the attention her dad gave her.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think that the trauma that she has experienced is beyond what anyone should ever experience. So I watch her. She is on some documentaries and does vehemently have her opinion heard. Yeah. And that I take that on face value. I'm like angry at her, but it's
looking
under
at
the
it
surface,
through the lens of
it's
her
like
experience.
the trauma that has got you to that belief is absolutely awful. I have nothing but compassion and empathy for her. That I can only hope that one day a psychologist spends a hell of a lot of time with her and works with her and gets her to a place of, I don't know, peace with all of this. I don't know if that's possible.
I don't know if
I don't
that's
think it
possible,
is.
But
what a life to, that's who your family is. And she's put her face out there, and I mean, not by her choice probably initially, but, does now speak up for her family, and wants to do that. So, but that's how what a life she's led to get to here with that. The only positive out of any of this was that, so Susan was obviously buried where her family chose for her to be buried. And when the boys passed away, they were placed in placed next to her in one plot, and that left obviously a plot either side of Susan and her boys that Josh was going to be buried in. But thankfully, very quickly, the public and a lot of police officers donated money and bought those two plots either side of them to ensure that there was no way in hell he would be buried next to them. And so congratulations and well done to the public and those police officers who donated to that, because that was a very worthy cause.
100. I would have thrown money at that.
Shit should not be anywhere near those people. I'm so glad they did that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been an awful one.
Horrible.
If you want to know more detail about this case, so one I would really highly recommend people look at is the long form podcast Cold.
Agreed.
It was one of you directed me to that quite a few years ago now, and it hard to listen to. You need to take your time.
It's a long form. I think there's maybe 16 or 17 episodes, something like that. I mean, the core content might be about 10 episodes, but it's definitely worth a listen if you want to know more information. And I'm talking really in-depth information. Yeah. It is hard to listen to, so maybe space it out a bit if you've got the time to be able to do that. Some episodes where
it gets real hard.
Yeah. But, it's very well produced and very respectful.
Yeah.
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 We know that covering cases like this can be really, really tough. So if this one's been a tough one for you to listen to, please reach out for support. In Australia, reach out to Lifeline or Beyond Blue, and if not, seek assistance in whatever country you're listening from, because I've found this one a really tough one. You obviously have as well. And the reason we do these cases is to keep the memory alive of those people who suffered and the victims in this case, but it's also to raise awareness and there are people like this out there.
Unfortunately, this family dynamic exists. This is not. They're not. Unfortunately, the Powell family are unfortunately not the only family who function this way. They exist, but not only that. Domestic violence is so prevalent, not only in Australia but worldwide. 1 in 3 women across the world experience domestic violence
in some form of another. We're not saying everyone's going to necessarily be murdered by their significant other, but
it's what she was experiencing prior to even being murdered was not okay.
No,
and if you are experiencing any of that control, it's not okay. So reach out 1-800-RESPECT in Australia because we need to speak up. I mean, her friends were trying and obviously she was making attempts, but we need to get these people out safely, get everyone the help they need. And
that's right.
If we can get to a point where that isn't needed, that we don't need to be looking out for friends for these shit, that would be great too.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. That world would be lovely to live in.
Yeah.
If only.
If only. All right. What case are we covering next week?
Oh, crap. Oh, Bradley Murdoch.
Yeah.
We're
doing the Joanne Lees and Peter Falconio case.
Yes.
So that's kind of taking a bit of a different tact actually, which is probably a good thing. No kids involved.
Yes.
So, yeah, please join us next week. Thank you for listening. We really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to like us on all the socials. Come and follow us over on TikTok and Instagram mostly. That's where we get most of our engagement.
Share us with a friend.
That's the best thing you can actually do. Share us with a friend. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Stay curious, crime besties.
Bye.